Bry's Comics.
The incredible Bry Box of Mystery, available now at bryscomics.com. By far my best mystery box yet. The best grand prizes, the best mini prizes, the best non-winning boxes, with a grand prize of Hulk 181 in a CGC 9.0, a $9,000 book. Another grand prize, Giant Size X-Men #1 in a 9.2, huge key, an $8,000 book. Ultimate Fallout 4, signed by Brian Michael Bendis, first print, 9.8, valued at around $2,500, and 1 in 10 of the boxes is valued at $500 or more. It's a $200 box. Every single box has a guaranteed value of $225. In what other hobby can you buy a lottery ticket, and if you don't win, you can sell that lottery ticket for value? This is an incredible opportunity. Somebody's going to get Hulk 181 in a 9.0 for $200. It is going to happen. Someone is going to get that Giant Size X-Men #1 in a 9.2 for $200. I'm super excited. It's super exciting to just think of the prospect of getting that huge grail that if you don't want to keep it, if for some reason you don't have a pulse or something, you don't want to keep that book, maybe you want to buy a new car, you can sell one of those grand prizes and buy a new car. A video is dropping on Monday with detailing the 2 collections that I just picked up that made this possible. This is an incredibly rare opportunity to be able to even do a mystery box like this, and it only happened because of 2 incredibly rare collections that came up at the exact same time. That's dropping on Monday. I'm also going to drop a video detailing the whole process for transparency of how winners are picked, how it's shipped, and that video will post after the boxes ship out, because I'm going to videotape the whole process of actually shipping those boxes. More details over at bryscomics.com. Also, check me out tomorrow, Friday, on Whatnot, starting at 4 p.m. We're going to switch the time a little bit. Starting at 4 p.m., we're going to do $1 starts on tons of slabs, tons of new inventory. Just picked up those new collections. You're not going to want to miss this sell over on Whatnot. Link in the description for $15 towards your first purchase. So this video is the unboxing of the Grails that I just sent in to CGC. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link down in the description. And that video showed the process of me buying 8 books, and I advanced the seller $50,000 towards whatever the books would sell for. And so if the book sold for $100,000, I take my commission out of that, plus all the grading fees and everything, and then I already gave him the 50, so whatever else I owed him on top of that. So that's how the advanced work. And we have the unboxing here. We have some good news and some bad news, but mostly bad news. But let's start with the good news. All right, so first up is Hulk #1. And it came back a blue label 2.0 with white pages, which is a nice little bonus. I'll throw a picture of this up on the screen. Such an incredible book. And this is exactly right about what we were expecting to get on this book. Origin and first appearance of the Incredible Hulk, first appearance of Rick Jones, Betty Ross, and General Ross. I also did a video reading this exact copy of this book because I thought, before I get this encapsulated and is never read again, how about I make a video and thousands of people can actually read the inside of this book, if it's any consolation to the fact that it will never actually be read again. So this book, I have it listed at the time of doing this. I posted it this morning for $15,000 cash or $18,000 in trade. It's really got to be worth it for me to do the trade because I'm going to have my money tied up even longer. I got to wait to get the actual books. I'm going to have like 25 books to list, pack, ship, market, etc. Some of them won't sell. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment on this video, and like this video for your chance to win a free slab. We do a free slab giveaway every single month. And if you head over to bryscomics.com and sign up for the newsletter, you're entered to win a free slab over there as well. So here's the first bit of bad news. All-Star Comics #8, first appearance of Wonder Woman, came back a 2.5 restored, slight C1 with brittle pages. Just an absolutely incredible book. So the notes say that this book has a small amount of color touch on the spine. And so we weren't expecting this to come back restored. In fact, I even had a certificate. This book was graded before CGC. It was graded in the 90s. There was a company that you can have it graded, and it was just written out on paper. And they graded this and said that it was good / very good and that it was not restored. So draw your conclusions from that about, the worth of a grading sheet from 1990. But there is a small amount of color touch on the spine. So what we're going to do on this one is we're going to send it back to CGC and have the restoration removed and have it regraded. So CCS is CGC's pressing company, and they offer restoration removal. And so since this is a C1, it means it was an amateur, which means that the restoration was likely done with some kind of pen. And so likely the restoration on this needs to be cut out of the cover. And so the thing about this book, in looking at the spine, is it already has a lot of issues on the spine, as you can see in the notes. I mean, there's big pieces missing and chunks missing all over. So I'm hopeful that when they remove the color touch on the spine, that it won't actually affect the grade, but we're yet to see. But even if this book comes back a grade lower in a 2.0 blue label, it would be worth more than a 2.5 purple label. So this is a very interesting and frankly kind of a silly part of this hobby, that this book, the exact same book in a 2.5 purple label, is worth about half of what it is in a blue label because of the small amount of color touch. The numbers vary on that. Sometimes it's worth like 1/10 of the value when it's restored. Sometimes it's worth more than half, but roughly on average about half the value when it's restored. So if you take the same book and you literally cut a piece out of it, as long as it's small enough, even if it drops in grade, now it's worth more. The exact same book, one has color touch, one has a hole. The one with the hole is worth twice as much. I get both sides of it. I understand, nobody wants to buy a purple label, myself included. I wouldn't want to buy a purple label. And I certainly wouldn't want to pay anywhere near a blue label price. So I totally understand both sides of it, but when you really break it down to what's happening, it is kind of silly. So unfortunately, we're going to have to send this back. You're going to have to wait, probably another month or so to get this back after it's, the restoration's removed and graded again. The last bit of bad news here is Amazing Fantasy number 15. It came back a 4.5 with the purple label of death. Restoration includes small amount of color touch on cover, and the notes say that the color touch is in the bottom right of the front cover, and I cannot see it. I do not see that restoration whatsoever. I've looked at this thing with a magnifying glass. I've looked at this thing under black lights, and I don't see the color touch. It's slight B1, which means it's not professional and it's not amateur. It's in between, which usually means that the color touch was done with some kind of crayon. If it's done by an amateur, it's pen. If it's done on the B level, it's some kind of crayon. And if it's done professionally, it's some kind of like acrylic or paint, I believe. So this likely is a small amount of crayon somewhere on the cover. So when the restoration is removed from this, they likely be able to just scrape it off and not actually cut a hole into the book. Hopefully, when this restoration is removed, it won't affect the grade. It can retain the same grade. That's possible. So with this one, I wasn't expecting this, but I actually had a friend make a very reasonable offer in trade for this as is. So it wasn't a purple label price, and it wasn't quite a blue label price either. It was somewhere in between. And this is a really good example of how there's so many different people and different perspectives and stuff in this hobby and way to look at things. A really good example of that is I just posted the video about the Avengers 1 trade, and I asked, would you rather an Avengers 1 or would you rather 25 key books, even though the key books are worth more? And the vast majority of people said they'd rather the Avengers 1, but there was a large amount of people that said they would rather the stack of 25 keys. And my point is, and it's always fascinating to me, is that there's very different people in this hobby. There's a lot of different ways to look at things, different ways to collect. People value different things. And in this situation, it was very unlikely, but it worked out because the seller is always looking at things from worst case scenario. And in his mind, he said, okay, we're going to have to send it back in for restoration removal, regrading, have it pressed again because we want to have it pressed right before it's graded. There's shipping involved. There's risk at every turn. And he always looks at things from a worst case scenario perspective because he works in security. And so, of course, he's always thinking like the bad guy and what's, the worst thing that can happen. So from his point of view, taking a reasonable offer on it in the condition that it's in and mitigating all of that risk seemed like a good choice for him. And for the buyer, they were looking at it more from the best case scenario situation. And so in the best case scenario, have the restoration removed and they get the 4.5 for not only a trade, there's no money out of pocket, and all of those trade books are nowhere near, the actual price. So he's got, more equity in the trade books. And not only that, he gets the 4.5 potentially at, a much cheaper price. So from his perspective, that deal made sense to him. It's really cool that it worked out. I was not expecting that, but that's the deal on this one. So this one will be shipping out tomorrow. And man, I got to tell you guys, it is not easy to let this book go, even in a purple label. I mean, finally actually having it and holding it is actually really incredible. And a lot of people, have commented and said, I don't know how you're able to sell that book. Well, one thing to consider is that I do this for a living. This is how I support my family. And so I'm only making a small commission on this, right? And so the opposite of supporting my family is buying an Amazing Fantasy 15. Like, that is the exact opposite of supporting my family. Now I'm taking all of this money that I shouldn't be spending and I'm buying, a very expensive Grail. So it doesn't make it any easier to let this book go, but at the same time, I do this for a living. This isn't just like, my collection money. This is my livelihood money as well. So a couple end takeaways from this whole process. This was a lot more stressful than I thought it was going to be. There was stress about this at every turn. There was stress handling these books raw. There was stress, pressing these books myself. There was stress shipping these books. I shipped these books via UPS, fully insured overnight. They sent me an email the next day that said, we're really sorry, your package is delayed because the plane broke down. And I was like, oh my God, the plane broke down. And then finally, they did actually get there. CGC checked them in, that shipping was fine, but it was an ordeal talking with customer service with them. CGC themselves took way longer than their stated turn time to actually get these shipped out. There was horrible experiences with CGC customer service regarding several things with this. I'm not going to make this into a CGC rant video. So there was a lot more stress involved with this than I thought there would be. Would I do it again? I can't see turning it down. I mean, this is what I do for a living. This is my work. And so that's one of the things that I learned about this is I am working for my money. Like, this isn't just an easy deal, an easy transaction. There's a lot of emotional cost that goes into it, and that needs to be accounted for. So it was kind of an eye-opening experience as far as like how much work is going to be involved to do something like this. But all in all, it's not the end of the world, or it's almost done. I still have the Hulk 2 through 6 that was sent in a different tier. That will be coming back. I'll keep you guys posted about this if I find anything out about the color touch. But yeah, don't forget that mystery box just launched today over at brycecomics.com. Tons of awesome prizes, over $40,000 in prizes. Follow me on Whatnot. We're going to do $1 starts tomorrow on a massive slab show tomorrow over on Whatnot. So I hope to see you over there. Subscribe to the channel, comment on this video, and like this video for your chance to win a free slab. And if you sign up for that newsletter at brycecomics.com, you're entered to win a free slab as well over there. Thank you to everyone for all the support about this project, for all the interest that people have sent about these books. I'm really sorry that it didn't come back Blue Label and wasn't able to offer it up as a trade to everyone, but it is what it is, and you got to roll with the punches. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you as always for sticking with me to the end of the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bryce Comics.